continues through us. A couple of days ago, my niece or my granddaughter left for college in Europe. Her mother noticed that she packed a Bible. When her mother asked her why she made that choice, she said, "I want to live more like Charlie." And it's in one of my first conversations with Charlie in July of 2021, we were talking about the risks that all of us take when we challenge entrenched interest, the physical risk. And he asked me if I was scared of dying. And I said to him, there's a lot worse things than death. And one of those things is if we lost our constitutional rights in this country and that our children were raised as slaves. And I said to Charlie, I said, sometimes the best consolation we can hope for is that we get to die with our boots on. Well, Charlie died with his boots on, and he died to make sure that we didn't have to undergo those fates that are worse than death. Oh, let's remember Charlie. He was, for those of us who were friends with Charlie, we don't need any more evidence of the love of God, because the evidence, the friendship is the best evidence that God loves us all. Thank you, and God bless you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Of course, they are going through a lot of speakers. They just got done with Hegseth just a little bit before we saw RFK. Of course, RFK just spoke just a second ago. There is a laundry list of people to speak today. Like I said, I was going to be late, okay, because, you know, I have other things that were going on today. I told you guys I was going to be late. I told you guys last night I was going to try to get on here as soon as I could, but I had prior engagements that I could not avoid, because those things are important too. But nonetheless, I am here. We are going to watch some of it. Donald Trump Jr. is about to speak now. Of course, we're going to get this bad boy moving. So let's get it going.
Everyone, I'm not widely known for being a sentimental guy. Anyone who's seen me on social media knows I'm far more likely to crack a joke or get myself in trouble for posting some grossly inappropriate memes than I am to shed a tear. I know this because I've even gotten the call from that guy a couple times. You know, Don, you're getting a little aggressive on social media, Don. Relax.
Nothing but bulletproof glass. Ain't that crazy? I mean, understandable.
Week, when I received word that Charlie, who was like a little brother to me, had been assassinated, I was truly devastated. We all were. And we're here today to celebrate the way he lived his life and to remember the way he changed so many of ours. So I want to start where I know Charlie would want me to, with what was most important to him, and that was his relationship with Christ. To say Charlie knew more about the Bible than me is an understatement, folks. It's like saying Donald Trump knows more about being president than Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris. No kidding. But when Charlie was asked in an interview how he'd want to be remembered, he said, "I want to be remembered for my courage, for my faith." And let me tell you guys, those were not empty words. Last week, Charlie joined a long line of courageous men and women who were martyred for what they believe. According to the book of Acts, the first martyr in the early Christian church was Stephen, who was stoned to death. And as Stephen was being killed, he said, "Behold, I see the heavens opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God." Now, there are many times in the Bible where Jesus is seated at the right hand of God, but this is the only time he's seen standing. And while the Bible isn't explicit about this, I like to think Jesus was standing to welcome Stephen, the courageous martyr, into heaven. And today that gives me great comfort, because 11 days ago, as a cowardly assassin crawled on his stomach to end Charlie's life on earth, I'm betting Charlie saw the Son of God standing tall to welcome him home. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the greatest treasures of Charlie's heart: his beautiful wife, Erica, and his two precious children. To watch Charlie with his family, the joy on his face, the devotion in his eyes, was to see the gospel lived out. And for me, it was inspiring. And now, in the face of unthinkable loss, Erica has shown extraordinary courage, not only as a mother, but in stepping forward to carry on Charlie's mission as the CEO of Turning Point USA. Charlie always brought out the best in all of us. When Charlie first said to me during the 2016 campaign, "Hey, let's start doing events on college campuses," I was like, whoa, seriously? Come on, man. We've given up on that. We're going to let those kids grow up, and we'll get them when they start paying taxes. But he convinced me to give it a shot. And there were a couple events that showed just how brave and courageous Charlie was, even as a very young man. At Michigan State University, 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on stage, the state police told us, and I quote, "We can no longer guarantee your safety," because the left-wing activists, they were going crazy. It was rough. That sounded like a great reason to pack it up and head out. But it was one of the many times that I would agree with Charlie, who said, "No way, we're going out there anyway." At one of the last events of the 2024 campaign at Arizona State, some lunatic called it a threat to try to keep us from going on the stage. Again, we went out there anyway, without fear. Charlie led the way. His message was clear then, and his message is clear now. We won't back down.
What you guys think of this so far?
Be intimidated.
What y'all think so far? You feeling what
The Bible says
DTJ
over 100 times in the
got to
pages
say?
of Scripture, "Do not be afraid." And the 100,000 people here today are a signal to the world. Our message of faith, family, and country will not be silenced. It always amazes me how Charlie chose to use his platform.
I have a feeling he's going to try to
He had one
run.
of the largest microphones in the entire conservative movement.
Is that crazy?
And what did he do with it?
Is that a crazy prediction?
Day after day, week after week, he handed it to the very people who opposed him most. The media tried to smear him as some sort of dangerous radical. But Charlie embodied something at the very core of our movement. When people disagree with us, we don't silence them. We don't destroy them, and we certainly don't sink to violence. We don't burn down their businesses. We don't scream at their children at Disneyland. No, we debate, we stand tall, and we win with our ideas. The true extremists are those who would justify and celebrate taking an innocent life over nothing more than disagreement. That is the real radicalism, and we reject it completely. Charlie delighted in his belief that people could be persuaded. He believed the way to win hearts was with truth, with courage, and with conversation. He would always be the first to say, "You are welcome here." And that's what I want to leave you with today. If we're truly going to honor Charlie properly, his loss cannot be the end of the story. His legacy must be that when they took his life, 1 million more Charlies stepped up to fill the void. We are all Charlie. So let's send a message here today, guys. I want to make sure the world hears us loud and clear. Will you surrender? Will you back down? Will you give up in fear? Good. If you're among the millions of people watching today, please see this and know you are not alone. Charlie's message, like Christ's, was an invitation. If this resonates with you and you believe American values are worth defending, welcome. If you believe in faith, family, and freedom, then you are with us. No matter your past, no matter how you've voted, no matter where you come from, this movement is your home.
It's a movement now. I thought we were remembering a friend.
If you're not already seated at this table, we have a seat prepared for you. If you believe in God and family and country, you are one of us.
Here comes the division.
If
you see this,
our
right?
Government should put the interests of our citizens first, welcome. If you believe American workers deserve dignity and American families should be able to afford a good life on one salary, welcome.
We need to have a conversation about that, bro. Are you sure about that?
If you reject
one salary?
The propaganda of the fake news media, welcome. If you want to eradicate the criminal cartels and get drugs out of our communities, welcome. If you believe our best days are ahead and are willing to stand up to make America great again for your children and for generations to come, welcome. Charlie loved this country, its people, and the work of persuading others to believe in something greater than themselves.
Is this a memorial?
And if we live with that same courage, our legacy, like Charlie's, will live forever. Charlie, my brother, we love you, we miss you, and we will not let you down. And as the scripture promises, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. God bless. Thank you so much.
Okay. So what do you guys think of that one? What you think? So you got DT Jr., Donald Trump Jr. speaking. That didn't really feel, I'm going to be honest, I'm not trying to be rude, okay? All right? But do you really think that that was a memorial, like a speech in memoriam of Charlie Kirk? Or was that more of a, if you're with us, you're with us. If you're not with us, you're not with us. You see what I'm saying? If you team such and such, if you team MAGA, then we rock with you. If you're not MAGA, it's MAGA or bust. That's the vibe. That is literally the vibe I was getting right there. Am I the only one who kind of got that vibe? Now, I haven't heard every single speech so far. I've only been able to hear a few, like a sprinkle here and there. But that is very interesting, that what we just heard. Okay. Why is everyone wearing red? Everyone was asked to wear red, white, or blue, or a combination. So, of course, this is, like I said, very America. Do you have your passports? Do you have your shots? So anyway, what you think of that so far? You see? No, it's okay, Nicole B. Not everybody knew that, but that was a question. Please show up with these thizangs, right? Red, white, or blue. So maybe JD Vance is next. And I don't know if I'm like, I got copyright, you know what I mean? For you know what I mean, whatever they're playing in the background. So I got to go throughout these I got to mute the music. But this gives me an opportunity to talk to y'all. Okay. But now we got the vice president of these United States, JD Vance, which, by the way, we need to have a conversation about JD Vance someday. We do. We most definitely do. But yes. Is he wearing eyeshadow today? Eyeliner. Let's see.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, that smoky eye. Little Smokey Robinson. And then we got to find out how long Trump will be up there speaking for. Because this whole thing, it's been almost 6 hours.
I can't help but think that they tried to silence my friend Charlie Kirk. They tried to silence our dear friend Charlie Kirk. And today,
who is they,
tonight,
though?
we speak with Charlie and for Charlie louder than ever.
Who is they, though? That's what I want to know. He says they. Who they? DJ Khaled, who they? Who's they?
The
exactly.
evil murderer who took Charlie from us expected us to have a funeral today, and instead, my friends, we have had a revival in celebration of Charlie Kirk and of his Lord Jesus Christ. We gather here in this stadium in the hot Arizona sun, shielded in a great shining city our fathers raised out of the desert. And from this desert, Charlie Kirk built a movement. He transformed the face of conservatism in our own time, and in doing so, he changed the course of American history. To rising generations across this country, Charlie exemplified kindness, courage, and a commitment to open debate. And he was a great debater, and we loved him for it. But Charlie loved debate not because he excelled at it, but because it was the vehicle for bringing the light of truth to dark places. And Charlie Kirk brought many truths in his life.
Oh, I got something for that age. Hold on. After he speaks, I got something I want to read to you guys off camera. Okay?
Charlie brought the truth that young people deserved a stake in the future and that they deserved to have a voice. He brought the truth that marriage and family were the highest callings, far more important than any job or educational credential. He brought the truth that our nation would fade unless it brought order to its neighborhoods and prosperity to its people. He brought the truth that life was precious and we must fight to protect it at all stages and at all times. But most of all, Charlie brought the truth that Jesus Christ was the King of Kings and that all truth flowed from this first and most important one. But Charlie, he did so much more than tell the truth, he lived it. Charlie understood that the best evangelization was not in what you said, but in how you lived your life. And in this city, he lived his life well. He raised a wonderful family. He had a beautiful wife, 2 beloved children, and a loving and godly home. In this, he showed us the importance of family. He lived 3 decades he had on this earth with a sense of Christian virtue that would make any man, any person proud. And in this, he showed the importance of following God. He was a kind-hearted man, a hardworking person.
There we go.
And any parent would be proud to have him as a son. In this, he showed the virtue of industriousness. He was present and loving as any child would hope of his or her father. And in this, he showed the importance of strong Christian fatherhood.
See, this is a memorial, like a speech in memoriam of Charlie Kirk. There we go.
He was fearless and he was bold as any follower would hope would be true of a leader. And in this, he showed all of us how to carry on after his death. You know, Charlie Kirk, he loved history. He devoured the ideas that formed the foundation of our civilization. He stood for a tradition that Socrates established 2,500 years ago to question, to search, and to teach. He was Athens and Jerusalem, the city of reason and the city of God in one person. But if he loved those places, they were not his home. America was his home, and he was willing to die for it. You know, Charlie, he loved this country with a contagious intensity. Anybody who talked to him knew it and felt it. He knew that America was a beautiful place and we had these incredible ideas, but he also knew that our country was a covenant between the generations past, present, and future. He believed this country's best days were not behind us, but ahead of us. But he knew those better days would have to be earned. They would have to be worked for. We would have to sacrifice and work and tell the truth. He knew that America wouldn't be saved just by pulling together seminars or talking about the right kind of books in front of the right kind of people. The movement which he created demanded more. It demanded courage. It demanded hard work. It demanded building, and it demanded leaders. And my friends, in Charlie Kirk, we found a great American leader. Now, our whole administration is here, but not just because we love Charlie as a friend, even though we did, but because we know we wouldn't be here without him. Charlie built an organization that reshaped the balance of our politics. Turning Point brought millions of young people into conversation with one another, brought millions of people into advocacy. He asked of us, not just that we talk about saving our country, but that we actually go and do it, and we do it together.
Crazy. That's crazy.
But even as Charlie built on a grand scale, his greatness was never only in his ambition. It was measured in the everyday moments as well, in the way that he treated ordinary people
Excuse my dogs,
every
guys.
single day. You know, you learn a lot about someone by how they treat others when the cameras aren't on. Charlie treated staffers as well as he treated the President of the United States. When I was just a guy polling at nothing in my Senate race back in 2021, Charlie helped me, not because I was a future vice president, but because I was a dear friend. I saw just a couple of months ago when a White House staffer struggled with the weight of his job and the responsibilities of new fatherhood. Charlie stopped what he was doing in the hallways of the West Wing and said a prayer for that staffer. Because Charlie believed that we were all children of God, he treated everyone with grace. And that is perhaps the enduring legacy of Charlie Kirk. You know, I was telling somebody backstage that I always felt a little uncomfortable talking about my faith in public as much as I loved the Lord and as much as it was an important part of my life. I have talked more about Jesus Christ in the past 2 weeks than I have my entire time in public life. And that is an undeniable legacy of the great Charlie Kirk. You know, he loved God. And because he loved God, he wanted to understand God's creation and the men and women made in his image. Now, much has been said over the last week about Charlie's ability to approach any topic, any person in good faith, an achievement that was only possible because Charlie knew that we were all children of God. He knew deep down the truth of Scripture. And from that confidence, everything else flowed. That unshakable belief in the gospel led him to see differences in opinion, not as battlefields to conquer, but as way stations in the pursuit of truth. He knew it was right to love others, your neighbor, your interlocutor, your enemy. But he also understood his duty to say what is right and what is wrong, to distinguish what is false from what is true.
JD out here more than
Charlie was slain, doing what he loved,
than Pence.
telling the truth, proclaiming his faith, building out a dream. And now he's gone, and our hearts feel so empty because he's been taken from us. He's been taken from his parents and from his sister. He's been taken from our darling Erica and their beautiful children. And Erica, I know I speak for this entire auditorium when I say that we love you and we will never stop standing by your side, just as Charlie did.
Yeah, Chunky. He definitely mentioned Kirk a lot more than DTJ did. That's for sure. I see this more of a memorial
He was taken from
speech.
us by those who despise the virtues that actually made our civilization great to begin with. Dialogue, truth-seeking, family, and faith. In the wake of his death, we have seen some of the very worst parts of humanity. We have watched people slander him. We have watched people justify his murder and celebrate his death. I know that this makes you angry just as it has made me angry. But it is easy in these moments to see only the worst of our fellow man. I found myself wishing that I could pick up the phone and talk to my friend and ask him for his advice and his counsel, to ask him how to respond to such hate and the souls from which that hate springs. But I can't call my friend because he was murdered for speaking the truth. I can only guess at what he might say and what he would encourage me to do. And here's what I think. I think he would encourage me to be honest that evil still walks among us. Not to ignore it for the sake of a fake kumbaya moment, but to address it head on and honestly as the sickness that it is.
He had a better
But I also
speechwriter for
think
sure.
He would encourage me, he would encourage all of us to focus on the good. He would encourage us to remember that for every hateful voice celebrating his murder, there are 1,000 people mourning it and fighting for his legacy every single day. He would tell me to pray. I'm certain of it. He would tell me to pray for my friends, but also for my enemies. He would tell me to put on the full armor of God and get back to work. He would tell us to commit ourselves to telling the truth and to fight for that truth each and every single day. He would tell us to talk about God's love and the fact that that love applied everybody across the whole human family. Charlie suffered a terrible fate, my friends. We all know it. We all saw it. But think, it is not the worst fate. It is better to face a gunman than to live your life afraid to speak the truth.
Or face the FCC and get fired.
It is better to be persecuted for your faith than to deny the kingship of Christ. It is better to die a young man in this world than to sell your soul for an easy life with no purpose, no risk, no love, and no truth. Christ told us in the Gospel of John, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Charlie took heart, and now we must do the same. I've seen so many of you say, so many on social media, talk about for Charlie. We must do this for Charlie. For Charlie, we will speak the truth every single day. For Charlie, we will rebuild this United States of America to greatness. For Charlie, we will never shrink, we will never cower, and we will never falter, even when staring down the barrel of a gun. For Charlie, we will remember that it is better to stand on our feet defending the United States of America and defending the truth than it is to die on our knees. My friends, for Charlie, we must remember that he is a hero to the United States of America, and he is a martyr for the Christian faith. May our Heavenly Father give us the courage to live as Charlie lived. That is what we must do for Charlie. You ran a good race, my friend. I love you. We've got it from here. Thank you.
Now, here's the thing. Okay. First off, that was a better speech than Donald Trump Jr. I will say that. But I do want to point something out. Notice how, and with all due respect, okay, guys, I'm just talking facts right now. If you notice, everything is very divisive, right? Everything's divisive as hell. Very, very divisive. But I want to point something out really quick. I can't pull up the thing right now because we're waiting to see, because there's going to be somebody else coming up and speaking here. But I do want to make this abundantly clear. There is no evidence yet of ties to any left wing or any other groups. So the person who actually did this, Tyler Robinson, at least, for the majority of us that believe Tyler Robinson is the one who did this, because I know there's still people out there that believe there's something more going on. There has been a federal probe into the assassination of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now they're saying that there's no evidence that they have found yet of ties between Charlie Kirk's unaliving to left-wing groups. Let me repeat that again. They're saying that there is no proof right now of any left-wing groups involved in Charlie Kirk's unaliving. This is what federal investigation has been saying. That's what they came out with just the other day. Literally, they just came out with that. They said federal investigation into the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has yet to find a link between the alleged monster 22-year-old Tyler Robinson and left-wing groups on which President Donald Trump and his administration have pledged to crack down after this tragedy. 3 sources familiar with the probe told NBC News. One familiar with the federal investigation said that, quote unquote, thus far, there is no evidence connecting the suspect with any left-wing groups. Every indication so far is that this was one guy who did one really bad thing because he found Kirk's ideology personally offensive. So, they're believing that this right now, in their federal investigation, they're believing that this whole thing was a guy that got in his feelings and suddenly just did not like Charlie Kirk and turned this into a personal vendetta and did what he did. Now, here's the thing. I still have questions about that too, because I know some people are rolling their eyes. Some people are saying that's not true, so on and so forth. But here it is. This is what I'm reading from NBC News, and this is what they're saying in their own federal investigation. And you'd really think, wouldn't it be easier for them to sit there and say, yep, leftist ideologies, trans ideologies, etc., extreme left-wing stuff, right? Wouldn't it be easier for them to sit there and say that? It would, right? It would. Because look at what we're seeing right now. Everything is so divisive. Everything's so divisive. Everything is division, division, division. Look at the left. Look at how nasty they are. They're violent individuals. They're crazy. Look at the trans community. They're insane now too. Blame, 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 point, point, point. That's what we're seeing right now. We're even hearing it right now. We just heard Donald Trump Jr. basically said, if you're MAGA, you're with us. If you're not MAGA, you're not with us. Did he not just say that in so many words? Now, we heard a little bit from JD Vance, but he was nicer. His was more crafted towards Charlie Kirk, which should be. That's how it should be crafted, okay? But there was still some divisive language in there too. Right is right, left is wrong. It's pretty insane. But right now they're saying in their federal investigation so far, thus far they have found no connection to any left-wing ideologies, no left-wing group that was involved with taking this man out. Now, of course, obviously that's subject to change, but remember, this is all the stuff that we're hearing so far now. Everything's subject to change, but this is what they're saying. Now, we have his wife coming out, Erica Kirk, speaking to thousands of people at his memorial. Let's see what she does. Let's see what she says. Sparklers.
Hello. God bless all of you for coming here from all over the world to honor and celebrate my Charlie. Just a few miles from here, 2 years ago at America Fest 2023, Charlie delivered a speech on stage for our TPUSA Faith event. Charlie loves speaking off the cuff. He's very good at that, without a script. So I personally didn't know what he was going to say. And what he chose to speak about that day was his submission to the will of God. He quoted one of his favorite Bible verses, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. "Here I am, Lord. Send me." After Charlie finished, I met him backstage and I spoke to him, and I'll never forget this. I said, "Charlie, baby, please talk to me next time before you say that statement. Because when you say something like that, there is so much power in that verse. When you say, 'Here I am, Lord, use me,' God will take you up on that." And he did with Charlie. "11 days ago, God accepted that total surrender from my husband and then called him to his side. More than anything, Charlie wanted to do not his will, but God's will. And over these past 11 days, through all the pain, never before have I found as much comfort as I now do in the words of our Lord's Prayer, 'Thy will be done.' God's love was revealed to me on the very day my husband was murdered. On the afternoon of September 10th, I arrived at a Utah hospital to do the unthinkable, to look directly at my husband's murdered body. I saw the wound that ended his life. I felt everything you would expect to feel. I felt shock. I felt horror and a level of heartache that I didn't even know existed. But there was something else too. Even in death, I could see the man that I love. I saw the one single gray hair on the side of his head, which I never told him about. Now he knows. Sorry, baby, I'm telling you now, but never told him. Didn't want to. I also saw this. I also saw on his lips the faintest smile. And that told me something important. It revealed to me a great mercy from God in this tragedy. When I saw that, it told me Charlie didn't suffer. Even the doctor told me it was something so instant that even if Charlie had been shot in the operating room itself, nothing could have been done. There was no pain, there was no fear, no agony. One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus, fighting for the gospel and truth in front of a big crowd. And then he blinked. He blinked and saw his Savior in paradise. And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him. God's love continued to be revealed to me in the days that followed. The next day on the tarmac in Air Force Two, I confronted JD Vance, precious woman. I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I'm going to get through this. She told me something. She said, you know when you're on an airplane with your kids and it's the last 15 minutes of the flight, and things are crazy. Kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere and everyone's screaming. And you think to yourself, I cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. And she told me, you will get through these 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes after that. Usha, I don't think you realized it then, but those words were exactly what I needed to hear. But most of all, God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting.
That's a good point. Very good point. Hopefully it stays that way.
We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival. The This past week, we saw people open a Bible for the first time in a decade. We saw people pray for the first time since they were children. We saw people go to a church service for the first time in their entire lives. Charlie liked to journal.
There are fake boom
And
boom
I say
threats
this
too.
because he did it to remember important moments and sayings that affected him. And one of the things he wrote in his journal was this: every time you make a decision, it puts a mark on your soul. To those of you out there who just made that decision and took the first step toward a spiritual life, I say thank you and welcome. One day, I hope you look back and realize it was the most important decision of your life, because it is. All of you who are already believers, it is your job to shepherd these people. Do not take that lightly. Water the seed of their faith. Protect it and help it grow. Every day as Charlie rode into the office, he would go through his contact list. And I know there's many of you who were impacted by this. He would go through his contact list and send Bible verses for the day. He knew that faith was a habit. The more you live it, the more it grows. But know this too: the seed has only just been planted. The enemy will tempt you the most in a time like this one. God will always be there for you, but you must choose to mark your soul again and again in the direction of Christ. Pray again. Read the Bible again. Go to church next Sunday and the Sunday after that, and break free from the temptations and shackles of this world. Being a follower of Christ is not easy. It's not supposed to be. Jesus said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. He said he would be persecuted. He said we would be persecuted. And Charlie knew that and happily carried his cross all the way to the end. And I want all of you to know, while Charlie died far too early, he was also ready to die. There was nothing he was putting off. There was nothing that was too hard or too painful, or nothing that he just felt like he didn't want to do it. He left this world without regrets. He did 100% of what he could every day. But I want you to know something. Charlie died with incomplete work, but not with unfinished business.
Okay, here we go. Where's she going?
But I will miss him. I will miss him so much, because our marriage and our family were beautiful. They still are. The greatest cause in Charlie's life was trying to revive the American family. When he spoke to young people, he was always eager to tell them about God's vision for marriage and how, if they could just dare to live it out, it would enrich every part of their life in the same way that it enriched ours. And someone once asked me how Charlie and I, how we kept our marriage so strong when he was busy traveling. And our little secret, it was love notes. Every Saturday, Charlie wrote one for me, and he never missed a Saturday. And in every single one of them, he'd tell me what his highlight was for the week, how grateful he was for me and our babies. And always at the end, he would always end it with asking the most beautiful question. He'd always end it by asking, "Please let me know how I can better serve you as a husband." Charlie perfectly understood God's role for a Christian husband, a man who leads so that they can serve.
The notes is a sweet thing to hear. I will say that. That is a sweet thing.
To all the men watching around the world, accept Charlie's challenge and embrace true manhood. Be strong and courageous for your families. Love your wives and lead them. Love your children and protect them. Be the spiritual head of your home. But please be a leader worth following. Your wife is not your servant. Your wife is not your employee. Your wife is not your slave. She is your helper. You are not rivals. You are one flesh working together for the glory of God.
She ain't wrong with what she said right there. It's all about teamwork. The start writing letters. No, but what she's saying right there ain't
I
wrong.
was Charlie's confidant.
It's both people, though, both sides. Women,
His
same.
fault. His closest and most trusted advisor, his best friend. I poured into him and loved him so deeply, empowered him, because his love for me drove me to be a better wife. Every day he honored me, and I prayed that I could be the wife that God needed me to be for my husband. Women, I have a challenge for you too. Be virtuous. Our strength is found in God's design for our role. We are the guardians. We are the encouragers. We are the preservers. Guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. And if you're a mother, please recognize that is the single most important ministry you have.
Some of y'all wonder if she's going to run in the future. I wouldn't be surprised
Because Charlie
if she
traveled
did.
a lot. We tried to travel with him where we could. But I made sure that when Charlie returned from work, it was his sacred landing place, away from the worries of the world.
You ain't wrong, Nicole
I
B.
didn't make him feel guilty for being away too long or too much, or getting home too late. I always told him, home is here for you. and it'll be ready for you. And I made it into this place where he wanted to be as soon as possible when he was on the road. There was no keeping score between us. We were a team, working together for the same mission. I never wanted to be the one standing between Charlie and the task that God prepared for him, had set for him. And I knew Charlie would always do his best to help me with the same. My marriage with Charlie was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know it was the best thing that ever happened to him as well. He wanted everyone to experience that joy. And that's what's so beautiful about God's design for marriage, is that everyone can. And I could talk endlessly about it, and years to come I will. But Charlie's mission above all was aimed directly at those who aren't married. He named his organization well. He knew things were not right with America, and especially with young people, and they needed a new direction. Charlie passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West. The young men who feel like they have no direction, no purpose, no faith, and no reason to live. The men wasting their lives on distractions, and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate. Charlie wanted to help them. He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. And when he went onto campus, he was looking to show them a better path and a better life that was right there for the taking. He wanted to show them that. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man.
Are you going to forgive him?
On the cross, our Savior said,
Oh.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man.
Are you forgiving him?
I forgive him.
Whoa. Yo, that's a bomb. That's a bombshell. Okay. Wow. Wow. That is the statement of the year.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do.
I'm asking the question. I'm putting that in the poll.
The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us. The world needs Turning Point USA. It needs a group that will point young people away from the path of misery and sin. It needs something that will lead people away from hell in this world and in the next. It needs young people pointed in the direction of truth and beauty. And so I promise you today, every part of our work will become greater. I am tremendously honored to be
Go
the
to the
new
poll.
CEO of Turning Point USA.
Go to the poll. Do you believe it or you think it was fake?
I do not take that lightly. Charlie and I were united in purpose. His passion was my passion, and now his mission is my mission. Everything that Turning Point USA built through Charlie's vision and hard work, we will make 10 times greater through the power of his memory. Chapters will grow. Thousands of new ones will be created.
Yeah, she ain't done.
TPUSA Faith
New
will add
CEO.
thousands of new pastors and congregations.
New CEO indeed.
And yes, campus events will continue. And we will continue to hold debates and dialogue.
She's just taking over. It's done. She's taking over. She's taking the reins and she's running with it.
The First Amendment of our Constitution is the most human amendment.
Oh,
We are naturally talking beings, naturally believing beings. And the First Amendment protects our right to do both. No assassin will ever stop us from standing up to defend those rights, ever.
so you're going to say something about Jimmy Kimmel? Let him get back on the air? If we talk about free
Because when you
speech.
stop the conversation, when you stop the dialogue, this is what happens. When we lose the ability and the willingness to communicate, we get violence. And as I stand here now and I look at this beautiful photo of my husband in front of me hanging in the stadium, I think of my husband 13 years ago. I hadn't met him yet. He was 18 years old, a man barely out of high school, running around the halls of the RNC without $1 in his pocket and a single contact in his phone. People who saw him said that he didn't know what he was doing, but he did. He did know what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was going to change the world, and he did. Charlie's life was a turning point for this country. It was a miracle. Let that miracle that was Charlie's life be your turning point as well. Choose prayer. Choose courage. Choose beauty. Choose adventure. Choose family. Choose a life of faith. Most importantly, choose Christ. I love you, Charlie, baby. And I will make you proud. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Okay. Yeah, I knew she was going to wait. So that happened. I think what it's conflicting. I think what she said was very powerful. I will say that. She could also have like, isn't there mascara that like doesn't run when you know, like that's waterproof, that doesn't run when you cry? You know what I'm saying? So there's still that. And I think, is Trump next? Yep, Trump is next. So I don't know. They might be taking some time before he goes up, because you know how it is. You know, he wants people right. Oh, they're doing it right now. There it is. Right out the gate. Okay, I gotta cut this out because they don't I keep on getting hit copyright wise whenever they do proud to be an American. So I can't play that, unfortunately. Okay, guys. But here it is. All right. So when he gets up there, I'm going to unmute, of course. All right. But he's definitely going to take his time. All right. Just being completely real. And he's going to do the song. They're going to sing the song. Okay. Yeah. And the sparklers, they got the fireworks again. Yeah, it is interesting, Lay Jackson. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, hey, you know, freedom. Where is it? Freedom of speech is only free for them, if that makes any sense. It's like, if you MAGA, you're allowed to say whatever the hell you want. But if you ain't MAGA, you got a problem. Now, I was hoping that maybe she would say something about, well, she doesn't have to say anything about Jimmy Kimmel, but she did say something about freedom of speech. And I think that's very important. There is something else that she did say about how it's really important, you know, like your relationship between your relationship between men and women, husbands and wives, etc. Your spouses, your partners. I think that was a good point right there too. Then, of course, you know, she did talk about freedom of speech, but it did still seem like I said, with everything that's going on, right? It just seems a little one-sided. Now, I know some people are going to be judging her speech, but she was there to do her speech, and she was there to be strong, and of course, talk to him, right? Talk to Charlie, talk about Charlie, and how he affected her life and affected other people's lives, etc. And she did exactly that. Now, one thing is for sure. She is going to take that baton that was stopped or dropped by she's going to pick up that baton and she's going to run that mug. She's going to run, and I think she's going to be even more hardcore than Charlie Kirk. I think she's going to be more. I think she's going to shake some things. Let me just say that, okay? She gonna shake some things. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm gonna be real. I don't blame her for picking up the mic where it's been dropped off by Charlie and running with it. I don't blame her. I would do the same doggone thing if I was of power and a lot of people are listening to her. So that speech wasn't very divisive. It wasn't divisive at all. I didn't see it as divisive, right? There were some things questionable, but at the same time, wasn't divisive. We just got to see what she does in the future here, guys. But President Trump at the podium, here to speak. Let's go.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Lee. You've been there from the beginning with us, Lee, and we appreciate it. Nobody can sing that song like Lee Greenwood. Thank you very much, Lee, very much for being here.
Yeah, every time he sings that song,
has not changed.
I get flagged, so I couldn't play it, unfortunately.
And a special thank you to Erica, because today America is a nation in grief, a nation in shock, and a nation in mourning. Less than 2 weeks ago, our country was robbed of one of the brightest lights of our times. a giant of his generation, and above all, a devoted husband, father, son, Christian, and patriot. Charles James Kirk was heinously murdered by a radicalized, cold-blooded monster for speaking the truth that was in his heart. He was violently killed because he spoke for freedom and justice, for God, country, for reason, and for common sense. He was assassinated because he lived bravely, he led boldly, and he argued brilliantly without apology. He did what was right for our nation. And so on that terrible day, September 10th, 2025, our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal. He's a martyr now for American freedom. I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history. Because while Charlie has been reunited with his creator in heaven, his voice on earth will echo through the generations, and his name will live forever in the eternal chronicle of America's greatest patriots. He will live forever. To Charlie's incredible and beautiful widow, Erica, we know the weight of this monumental loss is almost unbearable. But even in the midst of heartache and pain too great to even fathom, you have somehow found the strength and deep faith to be a comfort to millions and millions of people. And thank you very much, Erica. Thank you very much. Today, an entire nation wraps its loving arms around you and your beautiful children. We share in your immense and overwhelming sorrow, and we vow that we will do everything we can to ensure that your children grow up in a land where their father is honored and revered as a great American hero. That's what he is. To Charlie's parents who lost their beloved son, and to the entire Kirk family, we know that no words can ever be enough to fill the void he leaves behind. That's a void that just can't be filled. But I hope the extraordinary outpouring of emotion over these past 11 days has comforted you with the knowledge that your son brought more good and love into this world in his 31 short years than most people, even very, very successful people, can bring in a lifetime. Charlie Kirk loved America with everything he had. And as we can see so clearly today, America loved Charlie Kirk. And he could always draw a big crowd. Look at this today. Look at what's gone on. This is a big crowd. Here today we have the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance. We have the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson. We have countless members of the United States Senate, and I'm sorry I'm not going to introduce you, but I'll be up here. They're all over the place. And likewise, the House of Representatives, they're all over this big stadium. This is not an arena, this is a stadium. Our great cabinet and this stadium packed with rafters of people, not to mention the one across the street that also has tens of thousands of people. And they're watching us on screen right now. And I'm sorry we couldn't get you in. If anybody would like to give up your seat, please walk across the street. But this is like an old-time revival, isn't it? An old-time revival. For millions of Americans, especially young people, it is agonizing and unthinkable to say goodbye to a patriot whose heart still had so much to give. It's so much. Raised in the suburbs of Chicago, Charlie was filled with a patriotic spirit from his youth, and he was an all-American in everything he did. And one of the last things he said to me is, "Please, sir, save Chicago." We're going to do that. We're going to save Chicago from horrible crime.
He said that to him directly? Interesting.
In high school, he was the quarterback of the football team and the captain of the basketball team. He was a good athlete. A lot of people don't know that about Charlie. He was an Eagle Scout who spent his school lunch breaks listening to another champion for liberty, somebody that he greatly admired, Rush Limbaugh. But what was even more important to Charlie than politics and service was the choice he made in the 5th grade, which he called the most important decision of his life, to become a Christian and a follower of his Savior, Jesus Christ. Inspired by faith and his love of freedom, Charlie did something remarkable when he was just 18 years old. On the advice of a mentor who told him to put off going to college because he was doing so well, he devoted his life to converting young people to the conservative cause. How did he do? Take a look. How did he do? In 2012, 2 days after graduating high school, and with just $1,800 in his pocket, the young man from Illinois, who no one had ever heard of, started an organization whose grand ambitions were captured in its name, Turning Point USA. Great name. And I have a feeling it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. Does that make sense? It's going to be bigger and better than ever before. Look at what's happening. 12 years ago, Charlie walked onto his first college campus, the very liberal University of Wisconsin at Madison. He set up a card table and put up a sign with 3 words: "Big government sucks." Could you believe that? That's Charlie. That day, Charlie talked to every student who approached him, most of whom were probably quite a bit older than he was. Finally, after many hours, he found the first ever Turning Point chapter leader. His first year out of high school, Charlie traveled 300 days raising money and taking his message to campuses all over the country. He lived out of his parents' basement, and they actually loved having him there. They loved Charlie. Everybody loved Charlie. And on the couches of friends and supporters, he lived off couches for 2 years, 3 years. Then life started getting a little bit different, but he was always the same. For 5 years, he refused to take a paycheck, but day after day, he worked from 5 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. in the evening, always. His staff remembers that he wore Walmart jeans and T-shirts from the Goodwill store. Remember the Goodwill store? It wasn't easy, but Charlie wasn't in it for money at all, never has been. Money was never his thing. He was always in it for the mission. As he liked to say, even back then, we have a country to save. Just what he did. He'd call me all the time, "Sir, we have a country to save." I said, "Charlie, thanks very much for telling me that. I appreciate it." Charlie volunteered for my 2016 campaign and traveled the nation with my son, Don and Eric. I got to know him very well and saw immediately that Charlie was actually a master builder of people. It was Charlie who first started organizing young Black conservatives hungry for support and leadership. It was Charlie who stood up for persecuted Christians and Jews on college campuses. It was Charlie who helped bring online censorship, free speech, and cancel culture to the fore of our political debate. He was right up there with me. It was Charlie who helped unite MAGA. And you know what MAHA is? That's right, make America healthy again. And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcement, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. We're going to be doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism tomorrow.
An answer
We're
to
gonna be
autism?
talking in the Oval Office in the White House about autism, how it happens, so we won't let it happen anymore, and how to get at least somewhat better when you have it, so that parents can help their child, their beautiful child. That's a big one. I've been bugging everybody over there. Get the answer to that.
This is going to be interesting tomorrow.
20 years ago, 1 in 10,000 were born with autism. 20 years ago. The most recent survey says 1 in 12. How bad is that? That's for young boys, baby boys, but also girls a little bit better. It's about 1 in 20. But we can't, because obviously there was something really wrong, and we think we know what that is. It's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the most important news conferences I'll ever have, and I look so forward to it.
I am quite curious about what they're going to say about autism. I am really curious about that.
And you know who else looked forward to it? Because he knew. I tell him a little bit about what was going on. Was Charlie. He would have been front row center, believe me. We'll be missing him tomorrow. It was such a big deal for him, too. He brought together Donald Trump, Bobby Kennedy, right here in the great state of Arizona 1 year ago. Remember that? What a night, what a day that was. And it was Charlie who was among the first to speak to me about a man from Ohio by the name of JD Vance. Have you ever heard of him? He's doing a good job. But Charlie would often call me, sometimes the night before a big event, the other side of the country. And he'd ask me and say, do you think you could come and speak at the event? The following day, right? I'd say, Charlie, I'm the president of the United States. You want me to travel 4 hours by plane? And you know, sometimes I did it. He was a very good guy. He was a very convincing guy. He didn't stop, but he would ask for things like that. Sir, could you be tomorrow in California? I said, Charlie, give me a break, please. He just wouldn't stop, and he succeeded. But I almost always went because you never wanted to let Charlie down. He worked so hard. You just didn't want to let him down. I felt guilty. He'd make me feel very guilty. As president, many people asked me for things, but Charlie was one of the few who always gave more than he took. He was a giver, much more than a taker. And no matter how big Charlie became, no one was too small for him to notice. He was good to everybody. Didn't matter. Several years ago, a fourth grader asked Charlie to appear on his podcast, which was probably only watched by the parents of that fourth grader. And Charlie, who was actually pretty hot at the time, to be honest, he agreed, and the boy asked for advice. Charlie replied, the left. I call it the radical left. I call it sometimes the radical left lunatics. But Charlie didn't say that. He called it the left. He was probably right, but I can't help it. I can't help it. So he said the left, radical left lunatics, may have all the money in the world, but they can never outwork me. I will wake up as early as I need to about himself. I will stay up as late as I need to, and I will never stop fighting for our country. And he did this until his dying breath. That's what he was doing. That's what he was doing. Think of it. Wow. What a horrible moment. I was in the Oval Office when I heard they came in, and it was like a surreal experience, a terrible, terrible. I had some very big people in the Oval Office, and I was in the midst of a very important conversation for our country, big people, the biggest. And I said, you have to leave now. When they told me that, they told me in front of a group of very powerful people. I said, you have to leave now, right now, please. Right now. You have to leave, go. By his own determination and skill, Charlie Kirk built Turning Point from his humble beginnings, the beginnings that nobody believed could ever end up something like this, into a great movement and a juggernaut of American politics. And, you know, we have a massive stadium loaded up with people, but he got tremendous crowds before he had this kind of horrible news and before we had to hear what happened so terribly. He delivered more than 250 speeches a year at over 200 colleges and universities. And that was at a time when it was not really vogue to go to colleges and universities if you were a conservative. It really took great courage. And we used to talk, and I said, you know, I think they're much more conservative than we know. And he agreed, but it just wasn't something that was happening because the radical left would do very bad things, very dangerous things. But Charlie set up chapters on 2,200 campuses and spoke at more than 1,000 churches. He launched a podcast and radio show that grew to an audience of 1 million Americans a day, one of the bigger shows on radio. And Charlie didn't just bring young people into the movement. All of a sudden, it started to grow by leaps and bounds. By 2024, we won more young people than any Republican candidate in the history of our country, including, for the first time, a majority of males under 30. Can you believe it? Remember when Republican presidential candidates would get 4%? No, we did unbelievably with young people. And he was a big, big factor. Unbelievable. But he made me work for it. Sir, you have to make a speech here. You have to make a speech there. But we did it, and we won, and our country is doing unbelievably well now. We had a country that was dead 1 year ago, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And Charlie helped us make it that. One of the great people. But through it all, the core of Charlie's message and his basic method never changed. It never really changed. He stayed the same person also. At every campus event, Charlie asked the people who disagreed with him to come forward, and instead of silencing them, he handed them a microphone and let them speak. And he'd convinced so many of them. It was a pretty amazing thing to watch, actually. Shortly before Charlie arrived on campus, the day he was assassinated, a staff member texted him that there were many critics and students who were opposed to his views and rather strenuously in the crowd. And that actually made him feel good because he wanted to convince them. He understood. He really did. He understood what was right. And he was right about that. A lot of it was based on common sense, by the way. Charlie wrote back to the staff member saying, I'm not here to fight them. I want to know them and love them, and I want to reach them and try and lead them into a great way of life in our country. In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent. Charlie's angry. Looking down, he's angry at me now. He wasn't interested in demonizing anyone. He was interested in persuading everyone to the ideas and principles he believed were good, right, and true. Before each appearance, he prayed these words: God, use me for your will. Always said the same thing: use me for your will. And that is exactly what God did. When you think, that's exactly what he did. The more success Charlie had, and he was getting more and more successful, the more dangerous his mission became. On campuses all over the country, his quest for open dialogue was met with menacing hate. There were bomb threats, pulled fire alarms, and countless rage-filled radicals who tried to shout him down. It was nasty. I used to say, Charlie, this is nasty stuff you're doing. At one event, police had to build barricades to protect students from an angry mob of thugs. Many of these people, by the way, are paid a lot of money to do this. They're agitators. They're paid agitators. Remember that. When you see they all have the same beautifully printed sign, every sign is identical, comes out of a top-level print shop. That's not the signs that are made in somebody's basement. Those are paid for by very bad people, and hopefully we're going to be finding out through the DOJ who those people are. At another college, Antifa terrorists shattered windows, threw rocks, and tried to storm the building where Charlie was speaking. It was a really bad one. Often dozens of police officers were needed to prevent left-wing violence. And the violence comes largely from the left. You don't hear that from too many people, do you? And virtually every day for years before he was murdered, Charlie received these horrible death threats. People don't know. I used to talk to him about it. He said, I got some threats. He always felt that when they actually made the threat, they were not the ones to worry about. The ones to worry about were the ones that don't make the threats. I think you know what I mean. He knew the risk, but he and I shared a certain motto: never back down and never ever surrender. Just don't surrender, never back down. He believed in it so strongly. So strongly. And he's right. He's totally right. The radicals and their allies in the media, sometimes referred to, as my son said, the fake news media, tried to silence Charlie for a simple reason: because he was winning, and he was winning big. He was taking over college campuses, colleges that had, in theory, only very liberal, or as they like to say, progressive. I call them liberal, but they like to call themselves, because it's such a beautiful word, progressive. They're the opposite of progressive, if you think about it. But they were really nasty, and he would go into these colleges. All of a sudden, within 2 years, 3 years, they turned into bastions of conservatism. It was really quite amazing to see. They lied about him because they did not want you to listen to him or to learn from him, because what he was talking about and even preaching made so much sense. Everywhere he went, he won the debates, he won the hearts, he won the minds, and yes, he won the elections for people. He helped us, he helped other people. We won the biggest election in the history of our country, I believe. Charlie Kirk was without a doubt among the most influential figures in the most important election in the history of our country. The election of, that beautiful day, November 5th, 2024. Do you remember that day? It was 9 months ago. What a day that was. I mean, we had a pretty good day in the first one. And I must tell you, on the second one, we had a phenomenal day. But a lot of bad things happened. And now that's not even questioned. They cheated like dogs, but we got them back, didn't we? Huh? Got them back. But we owe Charlie a profound and eternal debt of gratitude now, just like Charlie and Erica made Turning Point hot. We are looking at a country that has the chance to attain a level like never before. Tariffs are making us rich again, richer than anybody ever thought was possible. And the only one challenging them are people that hate our country or foreign countries that are paying a price, because they did the same thing to us for years. They took advantage of us, but we're making money. We're becoming richer and richer. And we're taking care of our people better and better when we do that. And we can take care of other countries better and better. But we're doing unbelievably well. The tariffs have really been a hold. The election was big, but the tariffs, because of the election, came in. And remember, other nations do that to us. And Charlie understood that. He saw the money. He saw what was coming into our country. And we can use that for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of these things that we fight so hard for. And that's exactly what's happening. The numbers are incredible. When the news finally came out on election night last November that the race was officially won, came out pretty early in the night. Charlie was live on camera. In that moment, he was overcome with emotion. I've never seen him like this. He was so happy. For a long while, he said nothing. His eyes were filled with tears, and then he buried his face in his hands and he started crying. That wasn't the Charlie I knew, but in thinking about it, it actually was the Charlie I knew, because he had a tremendous heart. He just wanted what was good for our country, and he saw us going in such a horrible direction. Lovingly, Eric, and this was so beautiful, Erica put a MAGA hat on to cover his bowed head. I like that very much. MAGA, we love. Does everybody love MAGA? Make America great again.
He's kind of gone off the rails a little bit.
When Joe Biden used to get up, remember the speeches? We will stop MAGA. We will stop MAGA. You know, he could barely get the words out. We will stop. I said, can somebody inform him the MAGA means make America great again? How do you say you're going to stop it? And Charlie understood that. When Charlie finally looked up and spoke, he smiled through the watery eyes and simply said, I am humbled by God's grace. That was his statement that night. I was watching him. I was very impressed, actually. It showed he had a big heart. Every single American should take a long, hard look at the twisted soul and dark spirit of anyone who would want to kill a young man as good as Charlie. To kill anybody, but to kill a man like this, he didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve this. Our country didn't deserve this. And anyone who would make excuses for it are just out of their mind. Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation. That was a horrible attack on the United States of America. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. That bullet was aimed at every one of us. Indeed, Charlie was killed for expressing the very ideas that virtually everyone in this arena and most other places throughout our country deeply believed in. But the assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and it's not even close. And it's rare that such a thing happens, but Charlie is bigger today than he was. Think about it. Just 2 weeks ago, he's bigger today than he was 2 weeks ago. Now, that may not help his friends and loved ones, of which there are so many. It may not help Erica and those beautiful children. who have to suffer so horribly through this moment, but they know it's true. He's bigger now than ever before, and he's eternal. He's eternal. And I just want to say we love him. And he's looking down at us right now, and he's saying, wow, that's a great crowd. He's saying, that's a great crowd. And it's a great crowd of patriots. But that's why I will soon award Charlie the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's the highest civilian honor. And we will do the ceremony at our beautiful White House in a very safe Washington, D.C., a place that Charlie truly revered. You know, we stopped the crime in Washington, took 12 days. Now you can go to restaurants, you can walk down the middle of the street with your wife. You can have your wife walk alone down the middle of the street. She's going to be in good shape. What a difference. What a difference good management really makes. But it's, I'm so proud of that Washington, D.C. You know, it's one of the worst in the nation, in the world. And now it's considered a very safe city. And it's also, I passed it yesterday, I went through it, and the lawns are good. It's like a different place. It's like the tents are gone, the threats are gone, the gangs aren't there. We got rid of, you know, we took out 1,500 career criminals, 1,500. If you have 3 career criminals, that can make a big difference. But I'm so proud of Washington, D.C., and now we're going into Memphis. And we'll get that one straightened out fast. And then we're going into some others, but we're going to go to Chicago, and we're going to have Charlie very much in mind when we go into Chicago. And we'll get that one straightened out. You have an incompetent governor who, he thinks it's okay when 11 people get murdered over the weekend. He thinks you don't have any crime when 11 people get murdered and 28 people get shot. He says he's got crime. No, they don't have it under control, but we'll have it under control very quickly. So we're going to be doing that. And Charlie loved what we were doing. He was so proud of what happened. He was there to see it. He's so proud of what happened in Washington, D.C. As you know, the depraved assassin who planned and executed Charlie's killing has been arrested and charged with capital murder. God willing, he will receive the full and ultimate punishment for his horrific crime. It's a terrible thing. Because you can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. Can't let it happen to a country. The Department of Justice is also investigating networks of radical left maniacs who fund, organize, fuel, and perpetrate political violence. And we think we know who many of them are. But law enforcement can only be the beginning of our response to Charlie's murder. Over the last 11 days, we have heard stories of commentators, influencers, and others in our society who greeted his assassination with sick approval, excuses, or even jubilation. You've heard that. So have I. Couldn't believe it. Some of the very same people who spent the last 8 years trying to sit in moral judgment of anyone who disagreed with them about politics suddenly started cheering for a murder. Incredible. You know the names. They're major losers, by the way. That will be proven out in a short period of time. Some of the very people who call you a hater for using the wrong pronoun were filled with glee at the killing of a father with 2 beautiful young children. And the same commentators who this week are screaming fascism over a canceled late-night TV show where the anchor had no talent and no ratings. Last week were implying that Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him. No side in American politics has a monopoly on disturbed or misguided people. But there's one part of our political community which believes they have a monopoly on truth, goodness, and virtue, and concludes they have also a monopoly on power, thought, and speech. Well, That's not happening anymore. We've turned that corner very quickly. Tragically, atrocities of this kind, and kind that we saw in Utah, of all places, are the eventual consequence of that kind of thinking. If speech is violence, then some are bound to conclude that violence is justified to stop speech. And we're not going to let that be justified. The tradition of reason and open debate that Charlie practiced is not a pillar of our democracy. In many ways, it's the basis of our entire society. It's the
He
right
did not.
inheritance of every free American, the greatest legacy of the Enlightenment, and among the most treasured achievements of civilization. We will defend it at all costs, and we will carry forward the torch of liberty that Charlie Kirk held so proud and so high. He was so proud, and he did hold that torch high. We will never, ever let it fail. We will never let it fail. But we're going to raise it higher than ever before. It's going to be raised, and this is the beginning. Perhaps it should be no surprise that Charlie, who spent his life speaking with the critics of these traditions, ultimately became convinced that we needed not just a political realignment, but also a spiritual reawakening. We did. And we have to bring back religion to America, because without borders, law and order, and religion, you really don't have a country anymore. We want religion brought back to America. We want to bring God back into our beautiful USA like never before. We want God back. Charlie would have been so pleased to hear his friends and colleagues today giving testimony and giving glory to God. Within minutes of the gunshot in Utah, millions of Americans, young and old, heard the news and dropped to their knees and started praying. Even many who rarely prayed asked God for a miracle. Please, God, save Charlie. But although Charlie's time with us on earth has ended, those prayers for a miracle have already been answered. Look at what's happening. Look at what's happening. In the days since Charlie's death, we have seen how his legacy has touched so many millions around the world. In Calgary, Canada, thousands gathered at City Hall to sing the American national anthem and raise up posters with the name Charlie Kirk. In Seoul, South Korea, crowds gathered to wave American flags and shout, "We are for Charlie Kirk." His memory has been honored in the streets of Berlin, Warsaw, Vienna, Sydney, Madrid, London, Tel Aviv, and all over the world. So beautiful to watch. A man as far away as rural Australia texted a pastor, "I'm going to come to church tomorrow for the first time ever." The pastor asked, "Why is that?" The man replied, "Because of Charlie Kirk." Can you imagine? The lesson of Charlie's life is that you should never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart, a righteous cause, a cheerful spirit, and the will to fight, fight, fight. Have to fight. We're saving our country.
Word cricket.
And Charlie's a big factor.
I need to see that for myself.
Charlie Kirk started with
I need to see
only
that for
an
myself.
idea to change minds on college campuses. And instead he ended up with a far greater achievement, changing history. He changed history. Today, Charlie Kirk rests in glory in heaven for all eternity. He has gone from speaking on campuses in Wisconsin to kneeling at the throne of God, where he is right now. We grieve for the friend and leader that we have lost, but we go forward strengthened by his faith and bolstered by his courage and inspired by his example to defend the country he lived for the freedoms he died for, and the values in which he so deeply believed. He believed in values that we should all believe in. Charlie created something very special. It's called Turning Point USA. And under the leadership and love of Erica, it will become bigger and better and stronger than ever before. So, Charlie, we all want to thank you. We want to say a very loud God bless you, Charlie. God bless you for what you've done is incredible. And God bless Erica and the children. God bless the United States of America. And could I ask Erica, please come out. Erica, please come out. Thank you.
No, I thought he was going to say something, or she was going to say something.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. And good luck. God be with you. Thank you.
So, okay. So, yeah. So, yeah, hold on. Okay. So what did you guys think of Trump's speech? I mean, this is I'm assuming this is the final I think this is the final speech of the entire thing. And so again, some of y'all are saying, "Don't ask." Yeah, it was something. I mean, you know, it was like he said what he said about Charlie, but then it was like wrapped in other political stuff. You know? So, you know, he said what he said. You know? Like you know, I was trying to follow what he was saying, and you know, like he would go in and out. Like I feel like there was a script, and then he was just kind of like going off the rails. You know, he was have his things. Everything's written down on the teleprompter. He's looking at it like this, and then he would just go on a tangent. You know, 5 to 10 minute tangent, and then go back to it. Right. Read a few more lines and then go off on another tangent. That was rough. Cole, no. I'm honest. I'm being honest. That was okay. You know, it was rough. That was rough. That was rough. That was definitely rough. That was terrible. I got to be honest. That was, you know, we know how he is. Okay. Whether you are a supporter of Trump or not, whether you are MAGA or not, we know how he is. There was a moment where you saw Tulsi Gabbard sigh. She had a while she's watching him. And you know for a fact, she's like, oh no. Like, is he going to stop? I'm being real. But we already knew this was going to happen. We already knew that he was going to go up and he's going to say what he's going to say what he's going to say. And it's going to be it's going to go off the rails a little bit. Okay? Yeah. And, you know, like I said, if you saw, there was a shot where I was, you know, they had a shot of RFK and his wife, And in the background, in the foreground, it was RFK and his wife. But then in the background, it was Tulsi Gabbard. And I don't know if that, I don't know if that was her husband or whatever, right? But she's sitting next to this guy with big, black, long, flowy hair. And she just is looking up at him, looking at Trump, as he's speaking. And she just, like that. And you could tell it's like, here we go. Here we go. And I feel like everybody knows that. I think everybody knows that he's long-winded and he's just going to go off the rails a couple times. He'll get to the speech. He'll get through the speech, but he takes his, we know how Trump rolls, man. He rolls like that. He takes his mother-loving time. So yes, it is over. And I do want to say that it was almost half and half. Some of you guys believe that Erica Kirk is actually truly, it was about 52% versus 48% in the poll that I put up. Okay. 52% of y'all felt like her forgiveness to Tyler Robinson was fake. Whereas 48% of you guys believed that it was real. So it was almost 50-50. Okay. It was almost down the middle. Me, I am questionable. I am questioning it. Sometimes people do things in for the sake of how it's going to look, to the court of public opinion. And I believe, you know what, Tanya? I believe that she wants to, but is she ready to forgive that monster now? I don't know. Charlie lost his life last week. Did he not? So I feel like it would take, I don't know. I'm not her. Okay. I don't know how heavy she is leaning on the Bible. You know how it is. Okay. I'm going to be real. Some people are, thump the Bible in public, but they're really not that heavy in the Bible in faith. They just do it because it looks good on paper. I'm not sitting here saying that she is that type. I'm just saying, just in case. Some people sit there and will say, one thing, but feel a different way. So again, for those who are listening to her, and also, to her speech, because you also got to remember, this is also a brand. This isn't just some woman who lost her husband to a tragic situation. She is a wife and a partner to a man who ran a very arguably successful brand. You could say that that's a successful brand because he had 4 million, subscribers, 4 million people who were watching and listening to his show, etc. So this is a brand, right? So you hear all these people people are getting converted out of nowhere because of Charlie Kirk. People are finding Christ. People are finding the Bible. People are finding Christianity for the first time, right? So of course, one really big step in faith is forgiveness. Forgiveness is amazing. Now, she's got the brand that she's still going to carry that torch on for her now late husband. Okay? So it's part of the brand. She's in a room full of thousands of people, all mourning with her, all waiting for her to speak. I feel like she was the one that everybody wanted to hear way more than Trump. No disrespect to the president, but I'm just saying everybody wanted to hear what Erica Kirk had to say. Way more than Trump. She was the main event, in my personal opinion. Okay? What's going to build that brand back up on its feet? What's going to get that brand back up on its feet? Something unprecedented, something jaw-dropping, huge beat change, right? Plot twist in the movie. Erica Kirk finds forgiveness for the monster that took out her husband. It is very much a but holy. It's a holy plot twist. Oh, bless my heart, or bless her heart, right? She's found forgiveness after, and it's only been a week and a half after he hasn't even been put in the you see what I'm saying? And she found this through Christ. She found this through Christianity. Now I need to listen to her podcast. Where can I listen to her? You see what I'm saying? Turning Point USA. Because she obviously is going to be the face and the voice. Now she is the CEO and chair of board of Turning Point USA. This is a massive move, and I know some of y'all can look at that and go, no, she's truly feeling this, and she could truly feel this. But it also doesn't hurt the bags of money she's trying to secure. Let's not forget that. With all due respect, again, I'm not trying to say anything bad about her or say anything bad about what she said. I'm just pointing out some things that are factual. Her first speech that she said, that we all watched, the live feed that she did on Turning Point, right? Not only did she talk about, great things about her relationship with Charlie and her connection with Charlie, but she also was talking about, like, please go over to Turning Point. Support over there. We're not done. You're going to see things of the likes you've never seen before. We're actually going to turn this knob all the way up to 11, and then we're going to rip that knob off. We're going to go so hard in the paint, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. You even heard here, she said, college debates will not stop. In fact, we will ramp that up even more, etc. Right? So again, the thing is she is trying to show, hey, come, support, blah, blah, blah. That's what she said in that first speech. Not only did she give love and praise to her husband, but she also talked about that too, because it's a brand. It's a business, and the business needs to keep going. Charlie Kirk was the one who is like I said, I don't know their personal life, but I'm assuming, he was making some money. Millions and millions of dollars off of what he was doing. Okay? Millions. Properly minted, as some would say. Properly minted. Now that means of money has stopped, she has to keep it moving. So, of course, she's going to go, hey, please go over to Turning Point USA. Show some love. Right? Now she's on this. She speaks on him. Of course, majority of the time, it seemed like she was talking to him, talking to his picture, right? Which is okay. No shade there at all. No shade at all in this whole what I'm thinking. But that part, I forgive him. It's a big step in a very short amount of time. Now, was that sincere? Or was that to inspire more people to come check out the show when she takes over? I think some people are going to ask, right? Pamela, yeah, that's a true Christian to a certain extent. But I also think it's also okay as a Christian to need more time to find forgiveness. Just saying. But hey, let's be real. If what she said, if that is 110% true, then hey, good on her. That's a beautiful thing. Congratulations. Because it would be very, very hard for me And I'm a God-loving person too. It'd be very hard for me within less than 2 weeks turn around and forgive someone who just took the love of my life off this planet. That would be very hard for me. It would take some real time to find that forgiveness. I'd need at least more than a week and a half. With all due respect, that's just me personally. Everyone processes things differently. Like I said, and I think that's the reason why some might think that what she's saying could be not entirely true. That maybe it sounds good, but deep down in her heart, maybe she hasn't truly forgiven him yet, right? I'm sure she will find forgiveness will find her path, with faith towards forgiveness, towards this monster. But I just don't think it's really true right now. But one thing that does sound good and can inspire others, okay, is that. I don't know, guys, but like I said, that's just me. That's just what I'm seeing, my perspective. I don't know how she feels. I can't read her mind or anything of that sort. I'm just saying what I think a lot of people, right when she said, I forgive him, the monster, she took, she was hesitating, and then she finally said it, and everyone stood up and applauded. The comments in this comment section, some of y'all were like, God bless her. That's amazing, beautiful. But then there was others that were like, wait a second, is that true? And I think it's fair to ask that question and talk about it. Okay. Sorry, but that's one thing I think a lot of people are going to react to. Is what she said true? I think she will get there. And maybe she really is already there. But we'll see. Because that's tough. That's tough. Okay? That's tough. To find forgiveness that quickly. That is quite the journey to get there. Okay? Yeah, like I said, I think we all have questions about it. Some will say that her speech, like, Foodie Gal said, performative BS, very typical of that party. I mean, I think that there's going to be people that are going to be side-eyeing her speech and everybody else's speech. I mean, let's be real. You look at somebody like DTJ, right? And how he was talking, it was very divisive. I think the only one that was just he still had moments. He still sprinkled in some divisiveness in his speech too. But JD Vance was the only one from what we heard, okay? Because there was 6 hours, guys. There was 2 hours of music, and then they did 4 hours of speeches, okay? Just so you know. And we only saw the last 2 hours. So I can't speak on what was said beforehand. But when we started and we heard the latter half of the speeches, some of them were very divisive. I will say that. Very divisive. We started out with Donald Trump Jr., very divisive. JD Vance, I feel like, was the only one, aside from sprinkling in a little bit of, the left and all that. Aside from that moment, he was the only one that had aside from Kirk. Let me just say that too. But he was the only one out of the other people, okay, that aren't his wife, that actually was talking about him and his legacy and what he left behind and his friendship with Charlie Kirk. That was the only one where I was like, okay. In the beginning, I'm like, oh, damn, here we go. Are we doing this again? Are we doing another Donald Trump Jr.? And then it settled and it went into his relationship with him. And I'm like, yes, that's what we want to hear, right? I know that there was other people that came out, friends of his and all that spoke as well, talking about, one of them talked about what happened after he was actually hit, what happened in the car. We already heard that from another, I guess, video that he did, but he basically retold the story all over again. Of course, that's very emotional. It's very scary. A couple of his other friends came out and, of course, talked about him. speaking with a lot of passion. Okay. And then, of course, it was still sprinkled in with stuff about the left. But like I said, it's a very, I just hope one thing. Okay. So one thing that I did appreciate that I do want to point out, aside from the boom boom threats at these HBCU colleges or HBCUs and the fake assailant threat that was made at UMass, aside from that, there really hasn't been any rioting, no crazy protests, no craziness in the streets after Charlie Kirk lost his life. Everyone kind of pumped the brakes and waited. Now, except for the fake boom boom threats at colleges and the fake threat at UMass. Aside from that, everything else was pretty much chill. Now, I know the man that was found suspended at Delta State University, they are saying that was a self-deletion situation. But I know there's a lot of people that are still side-eyeing that case as well. But other than that, guys, there wasn't any riots, no craziness in the streets. No one lost their lives in that kind of way. Okay. Let me just be real. All right. So then I appreciated her saying that, but I also think that she said that again because I think it's important for all of us to realize that we need to stop going out here in these streets going crazy. Now, that could have been a dig at the left. Okay, basically saying, oh, see, we're civilized over here. The riot is civilized. We don't do crazy stuff except for January 6th. But anyway, we don't do anything crazy over here. The left is crazy. They'll do civilized, uncivilized things like riots and looting and vandalism and blah, 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 right? But I will say, I think that was also a way of her saying, everyone chill. Don't do anything crazy. Don't be like the left. Which, honestly, I hope that they don't. Real talk. I hope everyone chills the F out. Everyone mourns. Everyone says their proper goodbye to Charlie Kirk. Justice gets served to this monster that did what he did, right? And we continue moving on, right? We let Erica Kirk do what she do, okay? Get on the microphone, start pursuing Turning Point USA as the face and the voice, the new voice of Turning Point USA. I just don't know how Candace Owens is going to feel about that. I'm gonna be real. Because even Candace Owens herself said, if you put anybody else in his chair, I'm going to have a problem with it. I wonder if she's going to have a problem with Erica Kirk taking over the spot. Is she going to be mad about that? To me, I'm like, she's closest to him, Erica, his wife. Why not? Right? So we'll see. Candace Owens didn't even want to be at this memorial service, which is also interesting. But, like I said, I don't know Candace either. I watch her from time to time when things are getting crazy and she's got new bombshell information, or if she's got some theory that may be too good to be true type thing. But other than that, she feels some type of way about being over there at the event, which is strange, but it is what it is, right? It's very, very interesting about her. But nonetheless, very interesting memorial service. I think that there was a lot of emotional moments throughout the whole thing. But as far as near the end, I just wish, like I said, with all due respect, I'm not here trying to, punch down at anybody or anything of that sort. I just kind of wish Trump would just stay on script, just once, just go up there, read the teleprompter, say what he needs to say, still have his Trump isms in there, sprinkle those in there, but just keep it moving. Say what you need to say and go, right? Because this is supposed to be about Charlie Kirk. At least this situation, not everything else and all the usual talking points that he says every time he gets on the mic, at least from what I've seen and at least from what I've experienced. But with all due respect, that is a long speech. And I honestly, you know what? This is the other thing I'm going to say, and this might be unprecedented. Unprecedented. But here's the thing. I kind of feel like Erica Kirk should have had the last say. I know that sounds weird because, the president is the president, right? But she is the wife to Charlie Kirk. So I kind of feel like she should have been the last one to speak. Personally. But I get it. He is the face and he is MAGA. And this is something that Charlie Kirk really appreciated and loved, right? He admired and adored Trump. But at the same time, didn't he admire and adore his wife as well? Not saying he had a choice in the chronological order, okay, of who speaks last. But I kind of feel like she should have spoken last, but that's just me. Beautiful Messy Ball, thank you so much. A lot of people were glad that Trump was last because it lightened things up. I didn't see how that lightened things up. I feel like it droned. I feel like it dragged on. There were some moments where he was, that people chuckled, but at the same time, I felt like, okay, if it was short, concise, and he stayed on script, he would have been fine. But he didn't do that. So it was 30 to 40 some odd minutes of him just going. And I think with him just going, that lightness to it dissipates. That's just what I think, but like I said, that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Yes, Erica was very heavy. I get that, but that's his wife. And I also think that the fact that she said, I forgive you is huge. That's uplifting. Holy cow. She is finding through God, through faith, forgiveness of the person that took the love of her life off this planet. Holy cow. Forgiveness, religion, finding forgiveness through Christ is amazing, right? That forgiveness is the levity. You see what I'm saying? So in a way, I'm like, okay, bring him on. Don't get me wrong. Do what he needs. Let him do his thing. I'm not trying to knock Trump doing his thing. This is he the one elected. You feel me? But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, maybe they could have switched that around. Let him do his thing and then bring her out. Boom. That would have been, bow. Everybody would have been walking out of there being like, man, I will pull out the Bible. Okay. We going to be having Bible sessions from now on. Yes, I'm going to write letters to my loved ones every Saturday or Sunday just to see how I can serve them better. I'm going to be a better husband or I'm going to be a better wife, blah, blah, blah. Just saying. Just saying. That, but again, like I said, that's just my opinion. Let me get some of these members chats and all that here real quick. Immortal Badass, what's up, man? Thank you so much for being a member for over 54. Wow. That's in fuck. Ooh, almost cursed. Pardon myself. Pardon me. That is incredible. Okay. I didn't like Charlie Kirk, but he would have hated being used like this. Well, I will say, yeah. But it's bigger than just the memorial. I think he would have appreciated the memorial for sure. I think there are things that have come from his demise, that I don't think are right. And I think he doesn't stand for certain things that have happened. Sure, he probably chuckling for those things. Like, good. F you, bro. That's what you get. You know what I mean? But there's another part of him that's going to be like, well, that's not right. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that Jimmy Kimmel got, canceled. His whole show got canceled, but this goes against freedom of speech. I'm not okay with that. You see what I'm saying? So on and so forth. So I do think that there are certain things that are kind of being put out there, okay, on behalf of Charlie Kirk that I don't think, but like I said, I don't know the dude. I didn't know the guy, but I feel like there are some things that he wouldn't have been cool with, for sure, that they, I think, are kind of running with a little bit. But that's just me. Moving on. Chunky Monster, thank you so much for the love. Love from across the pond. Make America united again. Yes! Agreed, 110%. Risa, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. And just like Risa, please consider becoming a member by simply hitting that join button down below. Support the channel if you can. No pressure if you can. I understand. We are all trying to make $1 out of 15 cents right now. Okay? The part where Donald Trump Jr. said, living in a household where there's a single salary earning household, I was like, where's that? He's like, if you're a person that wants to have single earning households, then you're one of us. I'm like, where is the single, where in what world, in what country can anyone survive off of one salary right now? Real talk. Where are we at? Huh? Where? Because that does not exist. Sorry, guys. I know some of y'all like, it's what he said, and he's the son of Donald J. Trump, and he's a patriot. Well, he's not correct on that. Because there's plenty of people that are fighting tooth and nail just to pay their bills still to this day. So single earning house, you talking about somebody who's a doctor or a lawyer. Let's come on now. Or they live by themselves. You know what I mean? And they live in like a studio apartment, and they ain't got nothing except pay for those bills and food to put in their damn mouths. And that's it. Single earning household, because they single. You get me? So again, I'm like, where did you get that from? What study did you get that from? Because all those people that are MAGA, okay, all the MAGA supporters, even the ones that were out there, I'm sure spent their last dime for those tickets to get in there. And they're probably dual earning households too. I'm just saying. I'd like to know. I'd like to know where you got that. And I'd like to see that actually happen. Okay? Like I said, I don't care who is, well, I do care who's running who's the president or who's running the country if they're running it off the doggone rails, right? I give a damn about that. But I only care about whether we are winning. And that's all of us, not just the upper crust. I'm talking about everybody, okay? All the crust, the meat and potatoes, even the bottom crust. All of us winning, right? Not just the powers that be or the upper class individuals. That we are all getting paid, that we are all winning. But if we have to have 17 different jobs just to pay for our mortgage, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So single earning household, little bit, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of a stretch. Cole, be honest, bro. Oh, I already said this. Trump's speech was rough. Yeah, it was rough. Oh, it was rough. but it's always been rough. You see what I'm saying? But you're always hopeful that he's going to keep it short and sweet, or stick to the script. And then lo and behold, like always, he doesn't. And you're like, damn. Okay, he's okay. Okay, we're going there. Oh, he brought up Biden again. Damn. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he's going to say Biden up until the final year. Like his final few months. That is if he gives up the reins. That's if he gives up the reins in 2028. We'll see about that. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying. We'll see. Beautiful messy ball. Thank you so much. Don't get me wrong. There were plenty of times I wanted Trump to shut up. I will admit that he did drag on, and my dad and I were texting. Not the time. Exactly. Thank you, beautiful messy ball. Yay! Okay, we on the same page. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, meh. Okay. Sheesh. Let's get we just got to get through this rocky terrain, and then we're gonna get to smooth pastures here in just no, we're not. There's still more rough okay. So we going through rough pastures the entire time. Now we on smooth pasture. Okay, I can see the plains. Okay, where the deer and the antelope. You know what I'm saying? We good. Home on the range. We good now. Oh, now it's over. Okay, that was fast. Okay, that's literally what it was. At first, he was riding cool, and then it was rough terrain. And we sat in that rough terrain for a minute. We off-roading, everybody. We're like, all right, I guess that's what he wants. If that's what he wants, we gonna do that. Okay? Yeah, there is there's always gonna be turbulence. Ain't that the damn truth? Whoo! But again, I think it would have been more powerful. I think it would have been more powerful if they ended with Erica Kirk speaking. That's just me. I get it. He's the president. I get that. I get it. I know what I'm saying is unprecedented, but that's just my thoughts. Everybody's there to see her speak. If you noticed, no disrespect to President Trump, but if you notice, she was speaking, everyone was still. Everyone watched her. As soon as he went up there and started talking, people started getting up and walking. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. People were even commenting in the chats because they were going out and showing. And I'm not sitting here saying there was just a trove, tidal wave of people trying to run towards the gates, but people were leaving. See what I'm saying? People were definitely just chucking up the deuces and getting the F out, right? So, and I get it. They're like, man, traffic's going to be a boo. You know what I mean? So they're like, we got to go. It's Trump, so we're done. We got to go. You see what I'm saying? So again, interesting. Very, very interesting memorial. Of course, this is a tragic day for a lot of people. This is a tragic day for America as well. And I know some of y'all will disagree, but it is. Okay? Someone lost their life because they were talking on a microphone, saying what they feel. Whether you agreed with it or not, this person lost his life. No one should be losing their life this way, period. And hopefully we can find an agreement on that. We can find even ground on that. And I think whether you are red or blue, I think we should all be on the same page, because God forbid if this was somebody on the left lost their life, you would hope that they would react the same way, which, by the way, I'm going to be real. Sorry for the left hand, for the left turn here. So you get it, left turn. But here's the thing. I don't know if the right would have put that person on a pedestal like this. I'm sorry, I don't think they would have. If this person was left. Let's just say, same scenario, same situation, but they're on the left. Just everything's switched over, right? I really don't think that they would do the same. Prominent figure, millions of people that listen to this particular person, so on and so forth. They would not hoist this person on the pedestal and do what they're doing right now. They are looking to make a national Charlie Kirk Day. I'm not kidding. They're working on that. They're also, some states are trying, especially Oklahoma, allegedly is trying to put something where cities have to have a memorial statue of Charlie Kirk. It is a golden statue or a golden, it's a statue where it shows him sitting at a table holding a microphone like this. And there's another chair on the other side that's empty. Yeah. So that's what they're trying to do. Will that actually happen? I don't know. But a lot of people are working their butts off to, like I said, immortalize Charlie Kirk. Is it right? Is it wrong? I leave that question up to you guys. But would they have done the same thing if this particular person, if Charlie Kirk was on the left? I doubt it. Listen to how they were talking throughout the entire freaking memorial service. It's the left is terrible, the loser left, the insane loser left. We heard that from Trump himself. This is the type of divisive words and divisive conversations that only make situations worse out here in these streets. This is the moment that I feel that Trump could have used this opportunity to take the godly route. He could have. He could have gone the Christian route, which is what? Forgiveness, which is showing love and leadership to both sides of the aisle, instead of it being divisive. Sure, Donald Trump Jr., he's a whole other can of worms, okay? We don't need to talk about that guy. But JD Vance, in the very beginning of his speech, the vice president of our country and the president of our country could have used this opportunity to not use divisive words and say, we need to be better. You want to know something that's very interesting? I just want to point something out that just popped in my brain. And I think this is very, very important for you guys to hear this. Remember when Trump lost some cartilage in his ear? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Dude walked up. Yeah, DTJ he's something. But moving on. Remember when he lost cartilage in his ear? That unbelievable moment where his life was on the line. He just a centimeter, a little bit to the right, it would have been a wrap for him. Remember that? Okay, remember when he spoke for the very first time since that moment? He walked up, he hugged, if I remember correctly, he hugged the American flag, then walked over. Obviously, he actually hugged the a firefighter jacket? I don't remember specifically, but there was a jacket was somebody who actually was a victim of the tragedy that happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. He walked up to the podium, to the microphone, and he started talking, and he talked for damn near 2 hours. But one big thing he said throughout that entire freaking thing is he said, we should not be divisive. We should not be divided right now. We should be together. He literally said that. Go check it out. Comb through the 2 hour freaking thing. I even myself was like, yo, I appreciate him saying what he's saying right here. That's what we need. That's what we need. I said, he's a boss for doing that. Thank you for saying that. Instead of splitting the country up, he said, we need to be together more than ever. Now this situation happens where someone was very successful at taking out a prominent voice in the conservative sphere. He had an opportunity to push this narrative in the right and righteous path, and he still didn't do it. This is the time to be together, not be apart. This is not the time to be saying East Side versus West Side, Blood versus Crips, Tupac versus Biggie. This is not the time. It's not. But now, which I'm going to say this too, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it. Now I'm even shook and surprised that JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance, went down that route too. Yeah, I said it. Reason why I say that is because I feel that they are grooming JD Vance for the big seat. That's what I truly think. He has been speaking more in just these 9 months. Has it been 9 months? I don't even remember. But he is speaking more in these few short months than we've seen Vice President Pence speak in those 4 years. Think about that for a second. No. Yeah. Think about it for a second. Come on now. Put that bee in your bonnet. Okay? Put that thought in your brain and let it soak all the way down to your plums. And you tell me, haven't you seen him a lot? He's been speaking out, it seems like, more than Trump, seems like. He's more vice president than any vice president I have ever seen. Majority of the time, we hear the vice president never. He might show up in a few things every once in a while. An exclusive interview with Vice President Pence. Mr. Vice President, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. Wow, why is your hair so white? That's pretty much the conversations that they have with Vice President Pence. But he's out here saying all kinds of things, doing all kinds of podcasts, etc. You don't think that they're grooming him? You don't think that they're getting him ready for 2028? Because you know for a fact Trump is going to try. Let's be real. Trump is going to try. He going to try to get them to say, yeah, for you, go ahead and run in 2028, which is unconstitutional. You can't do that. But whatever, right? In his world, he thinks he'll be able to do that, but it's not going to happen. So somebody needs to be the predecessor of MAGA. Unfortunately, Charlie Kirk ain't here. And it could have been Vance, Kirk. Running mates. Maybe for 2028, right? Somebody needs to carry the torch on. Why do you think you're seeing a lot more JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance, out here in these streets, all up in the videos, talking and putting in his own thoughts? But what's interesting is his thoughts have changed. He very much is MAGA, hardcore. That wasn't how he was back in the day. But since he became vice president and all that, things have drastically changed. And now he is saying rhetoric that is a lot like Trump, except a little bit more eloquent and to the point. You know, he doesn't fly off the rails. So again, something very interesting. Like I said, I was expecting JD Vance, which still after the divisiveness, he talked about his relationship with Charlie Kirk. And I thought that was very nice. Very nicely done. I think he's a good speaker. Okay. Not the greatest speaker, but he's a good speaker. Okay. But at the same time, the beginning, that was an opportunity for him to say, let us come together as a country. You realize that would have stood out so much more. That would have rang so true across the aisle. People would have been like, okay, Vance, I see you, bro. Okay. It's not just you in the in crowd or you in the out crowd. But unfortunately, the very beginning, this left that are monsters. It's sad, guys. That's not how we should be. Like I said, it's an opportunity. That whole thing, that whole 6-hour event was an opportunity to say, let's come together as a country. One big, very messed up, dysfunctional family. But this was an opportunity for that to happen. And it didn't. That's unfortunate. It very much is. And again, like I said, in a heavily Christian-based, not only just group, okay, organization, like MAGA, the only person that talked about any forgiveness was Erica Kirk, and that was to the monster who pulled the trigger. That was the only moment of forgiveness. Not once did anyone say anything about bringing everybody together, finding ways to forgive, and getting past our differences and trying to make, quote unquote, America great again. Not once. We need more leaders like that on the left and on the right. We do. But I don't see it anywhere right now. Everything is extremely divisive. Everything's divided. Everything is pointing at each other. Everything is making fun of this side versus the other side. We got our president saying the loser left and all that. That's the kind of conversations that we do not need to have here, guys. We should be taking the righteous route, right? So I feel like we should be doing that. But a bunch of people in that room, thousands and thousands of people in that arena, are now walking away with that type of energy. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Let me get this really quick. Oh, I got another one. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Whatever, clever. People are sad, angry because they are told not good American are dangerous, harm children, and not worthy of God. It is soul shattering and causes mental health, self-harm, and violence. Everyone needs to belong. I agree. We just talked about this late last night after this whole tragedy that happened at that Sky Meadow Country Club. And I did do a short where there's the mugshot of the assailant and all that. Go check it out when we get done here. But one thing is for sure. I talked about how the devil, how evil tells you two things: that you're not enough and that you're not loved. This is not the time to feel that. And there's a lot of people out here that feel exactly that. And that's the problem. And we could go godly. We can go Christian. We can go Catholic even. We can pull out the Bible and start talking scripture. But if we want to talk godly, the devil keeps repeating in everyone's brains two things: you ain't enough and you ain't loved. Now, through scripture, through people that love you, that care for you, and even finding it within yourself, finding that faith within yourself, you should realize and be able to come to the realization that the devil is a lie. And that's what all the devil does, which is lie to you about things that are not true to make you do bad things. We are worthy of God. We are worthy of being loved. We are enough. But when you hear things like the loser left, when you hear things like the lunatics on the left, that does not help the situation. It makes it worse. That is not godly, y'all. Sorry, I don't mean to get, I'm not trying to get, I'm not mopping my brow. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to run around holding a freaking serpent. You know what I mean? Trying to sell you bathwater that's making you think it's holy water. Okay, I ain't trying to do that, but I'm trying to let you know that I know my faith, and I know my religion, or my relationship with God. And I don't need to have a pointed building tell me my relationship, how my relationship with God is. God is in that scripture. God is in those people that you surround yourself with. God is in the family that you bring to the world and that you cultivate. And that family could be many different things. Like I said, love who you love. I don't judge. But at the same time, the devil comes at all of us the same doggone way. Evil comes at us the same doggone way. That was not godly, if you're going to say it, if we're going to talk about it. This was not a Christian way of saying, hey, what happened here is terrible. We need to transcend and be better. No, this now is ostracizing even more people because somebody out there that was watching it via live, okay, via social media, or that's watching it inside that arena is going to walk out with that hate. It's going to walk out with that energy and put it towards somebody that doesn't deserve it, solely because they may dress different, may act funny. That's not how we need to be. Not at all. Yes, I agree. Self-harm, violence, mental health. This is the issue. We need to be coming together and being like, hey, come here. Let me give you a hug, brother. My sister, let's find a way to find a common ground here. You have a heart beating in your chest, just like mine. You have problems. I have problems. Nobody's perfect. Let's find a happy medium, right? But unfortunately, we don't live in that world right now. Right now, it's either you're wearing that MAGA hat or you ain't. And if you ain't, and you're not one of us, then you're a loser and you're a weirdo. And that's a problem. This whole thing could have been cultivated and packaged completely different. And it wasn't. But that's just me. That's just me. My miracle mama. Like I said, I don't throw the Bible at you guys. I don't throw my faith at you guys. I don't throw any of that because I come to you guys as just a guy that cares about people, that's passionate about what's going on in the world and all that, period. Because I care about what's going on in the world. And I don't ever want anybody to sit there and go, oh, because, he has a little faith in his heart, he won't fully understand. Nah, that's not how I roll. I know so many people from so many different walks of lives that praise so many different gods, if you get what I'm saying. And I respect them and love them just as if they were my own. And that's how we should be. I got plenty of friends that are MAGA. I got plenty of friends that are on the left as well. I don't treat them any different. I don't. And that's how we should be as a country. Coexisting with love and happiness and appreciating variety. Oh my God. Let me just say this really quick, okay? I don't know about you, but you ever seen where you go, like, when was the last time you went to a mall? That's the question that everybody needs to ask themselves. But have you ever been to, like, say, an event, and you go to the event, and we all kind of have our own style of dress, but then you go and you notice that there'll be like a group of people, and they're all kind of wearing the same ish, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I look at that stuff and I'm like, so the whole catalog of Abercrombie and Fitch just walked into this restaurant. Where's the variety? We shouldn't all be thinking the exact same. We should allow to be ourselves, right? We should allow ourselves to be different. God created us in his image, right? God created us all different. We are not a monolith. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that just because you wear the big, like, ladies, oh my dear God. Oh my dear God. The jeans, the big jeans, like the big legged jeans, and then you guys wear the no belt with like the solid color top, but it's like a body onesie type thing. Okay, stop. I'm sorry. Stop it. You want to know why? Because everyone's wearing it. Everyone's wearing it. And the white sneakers. The white sneakers, the light blue jeans that are like the big jeans, right? And the solid color top, but no belt, right? Stop. There's no variety. Be yourself. Change it up. Do something for yourself. Not because, friend over here is wearing it and that's going to be, it's a bodysuit. That's what it's called. Thank you, beautiful messy ball. I don't know. I'm a man. Okay. I'm a man. Okay. But the bodysuit, okay. You put on the bodysuit, you know what I mean? And it's a look. I get it. But it's overdone. Change it up. Do something fun. Have fun. Guys do it the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the oversized shirt and it says like something stupid on it. You know what I mean? We all do it. We all do it. Guys do it the same damn thing. And you're like, oh my God. You're like, hey, which one's Seth? That guy? You said a guy wearing all black and he wearing Vans sneakers with the black, with the whatever, the Young LA t-shirt on, oversized with the black baseball cap. Wait, there's like five of them in this room. Which one's Seth? I don't know which one he is. Okay? They all have the same haircut too. Who it is? You see what I'm saying? So again, what I'm talking about is we cannot live in a world where we are all doing the same thing. We are not a hive mind. We all march to the beat of our own little drummer. Real talk, we all do. Just because you may have the same views as somebody else who's rocking a MAGA hat does not mean that you can't think outside for your own self just a little bit different. And it's okay if you do. But we've already talked about complacency, have we not? And complacency is a real thing. People get very complacent and very comfortable. Very comfortable. And they are not willing to step outside of the bracket that they found themselves in. In other words, willing to think for themselves. And I'm not sitting here saying everybody does it, but there's a lot that do. I don't see anything wrong with being around people with different views and different thoughts about how the world is. You can still choose Christ. You can still choose religion and still have a multitude of wonderful people in your life. Doesn't only have to be, it has to only be Christian people. See, now that I think is jacked up. Because if Jesus was walking this earth right now, do you really think the people that surrounded him would be people that were wearing, let's just say, the same things and living the same lives? I tell you what, no, at least that's not what the scripture says to us. What did he have surrounding himself with in the scripture? Of all kinds, people of all kinds walking all kinds of lives. All kinds. Some of them, the most deplorable of lives. And he said, hey, you're still a God. You're still a child of Christ. You're still a child of God. Come here. I know you're different. It's okay. I like that. Come here. Let's talk. Let's talk about your life. Let's find a happy medium. But again, like I said, I don't see anything wrong with having a life that is full of people around you that may not walk your same path. It's okay. It's okay. Just like I said, it's okay to have people around you that aren't MAGA, if you're MAGA. Or that are MAGA, if you aren't MAGA. It's okay. In fact, it opens your mind. I think it expands more of your vernacular. I think it makes your brain a little bit more elastic. It adds more elasticity to your brain, to your thoughts, the way the world is, seeing how other people live their lives. It wakes you up. And no, I'm not talking about woke. Let's continue on, though. My Miracle Mama, thank you so much for the love on the replay. I'm scared to watch on the replay. I'm scared to watch, but I know I can do it with Pascal and the fan burgers. Aw. I'm all for the theme of unity, love. Keep it up, Pascal. Unity. That's a unity. Exactly. Unity. Yep, all day. I agree, my Miracle Mama. It's all about that. And unity means people of all kinds, of all walks of life, working together to truly make America great again. That's what it is. It's not just this group of people and everybody else is just on the wayside. These other people, the left, they're still part of this country too. And yes, we need to find ways to express ourselves without grabbing a weapon and pulling the trigger. We most definitely do. But there are a few things that are very, very true. The devil is a lie, and it will tell you that you are not enough and that you are not loved. And that's BS. And when we start to learn that a little bit more, maybe, just maybe we can get a step towards more peace. And I know what I'm saying is a lot, like, it's a lot more complicated than what I'm saying here. But if we start there, we realize that love is real and love is important for every single one of us, every single American citizen, every single person on this planet. Maybe we can make the world a better place. Just maybe. My Miracle Mama, thank you so much again. And the beat of my religion accepts other religions. Yeah. See, like I said, hey, believe who you want to believe. At the end of the day, you know, it's Blaise Pascal's wager. Pascal's wager. Yeah, I know that's funny. My name's Pascal and it's Pascal's wager. But he says, hey, you might as well believe in God, right? It's a 50-50 chance. You might be right. You pass on, you might be right. Golden, you know, the golden gates, you know, and they're like, hey, what up, man? Yo, Pascal, sup, bro? Man, love what you did back then, bro. That's amazing, man. Good job. Get on in here, man. Hot tub's waiting for you. You got a hot tub? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we do. And then some, my brother. Get on in there, right? Might as well just go on the side of believing. Doesn't hurt. Blaise Pascal's wager. I know he didn't say it like that. Imagine him back in the day. Renaissance man, you know? There's a hot tub beyond these golden gates, love. No, he didn't do that, okay? But he did say, hey, might as well believe. Why not? 50-50 chance. You could be wrong. You go out into nothingness, or you go on. And there he is in all of his glory. And I think if you want to believe, or you believe in whatever, shoot, I have atheist friends. I have agnostic friends. I have plenty of friends that live the life that they want to live. And am I here judging them and going, nah, I don't rock with you? No. Still love them the same. Still love them the same. In fact, sometimes that makes for really great conversation. Open, fair conversation. There's a difference. Eye-opening conversations. Just thinking. Like I said, we need more. Really, we need more. I was just reading the super chat. We need more conversation, not debates, not, you know, you're an idiot because I don't like you. You know what I mean? I don't agree with you. No, conversation. But we live in a world where we have to have these hot topics and these hot, volatile tit for tat back and forths rather than a discussion. Ain't discussions, even saying that word discussion sounds sexy. Doesn't that sound sexy to you? Maybe it's just me that makes it, to me, it sounds sexy. Debate sounds like, you know what I mean? There's no love behind it. You know what I mean? Am I the only one who feels like we're going to sit down and have a conversation or a discussion? That's, woo! You know what I mean? It's like hot cocoa on a very cold blizzard night. You know what I mean? Curling up, Netflix and watching yourself some, I don't know, Love Island or something. I don't know what you guys are watching anymore. Okay? But debate? That sounds like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It does. Sounds like a fight. Just the way it sounds. But we don't do that anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk. All we do is debate. And go, ha, gotcha, you dumbass. See, look at you stutter. Because you're wrong. Yeah. You're not even gonna let me finish. You're not even gonna let me finish. Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish what I was saying? 9% of the world's population is, can I finish, please? Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? That's what all we're hearing all day long on YouTube, guys. How about discussion? How about conversations? Because that's sexy, baby. You know? We don't have those anymore, guys. We just don't. It's the wham, bam, thank you, ma'ams. For views and clicks. It's time for a change. Rock on, baby. Thank you so much, Pascal for president. No! No! Hell to the no. Hell to the no. That is too stressful for me. And for me, it's like, what party would I be a part of? You know what I mean? The two are very corrupt and messed up. I'm sorry. They're very corrupt and messed up. I said it. Don't care. Beautiful messy ball. Thank you so much for the love. You have friends obsessed with chupacabra. Exactly. You know what I mean? We live in a world where we need to have real conversations. And I know it may be in some people's minds, it sounds like a fugazi. Okay. Some Matthew McConaughey, a fugazi, or what's it, or woots it, or what's it, you know what I mean? A fugazi. But it is real. You have it all the time with your friends and family, especially with family that is cool with being willing to have the conversations. Like I said, they exist. Sometimes you have some of the best conversations with a buddy of yours. You didn't even know that you were going to have that conversation. And you're like, damn, I didn't know that about you, bro. Or sis, girl, right? You're like, damn, I didn't know you rolled like that. That's what's up. I don't agree with it, but here's the reason why. But you're talking to them because you respect them, right? And it's not only, some discussions get heated. Of course, that's normal. But you at least try to find a way to leave respect on the table. Because at the end of the day, is it really that serious? Think about that. Is it really that serious? I'm literally waiting for somebody to tell me, is it like yes or no? Is it really that serious? Well, I will say this because nobody's answering, and that's fine. Somebody did finally. Thank you, Gemini. No, it's not that serious. It's not. Because at the end of the day, you're going to still leave with your opinions, and that person is going to leave with their opinions. You guys might leave with extra color to that painting of your opinion, right? You might like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had puce over there now. But I'm going to throw some puce over there, because of what Charlie not Charlie, but Michael just told me, at the bar before we left, right? That's interesting. Puce. Let's try it. Okay, it works. Yeah, it works. It works, right? But at the end of the day, does it change the way you butter your bread in the morning? Does it change the way you wipe your own ass in the morning? I'm just being real. Does it? Does it change how you do your job? and make your money. Unless your boy's like, yo, bro, you need to try this Bitcoin. You feel me? Other than that, that conversation, that discussion that could turn into a heated debate doesn't change how you walk, how you tie your shoes, put your legs in your pants in the morning, how you wash your ass. It doesn't change anything. Just like these guys who are sitting there desperately screaming at each other on microphones at these debates. It doesn't change anything, guys. It doesn't. All you're trying to do in those debates is, I'm right, you're wrong, look how dumb you look. And both sides are trying to do that. And that's it. Right? And if everyone would just take that big step backwards and look, you'd realize a lot of these debates that we see, at least as of lately, you know, like presidential debates, etc., are just ridiculous. You know what I mean? But like I said, those conversations, those debates, they don't really change anything unless it is a opinion changing conversation. Those do happen, but some of us are very stubborn, and we hear the thing, we hear the point, but we're like, well, I'm set in my ways. This is my thoughts and this is how I think. All right, I bet that's how you live, right? At the end of the day, it's not going to change anything. Doesn't change how you vote. It really doesn't. So again, be amazing to have these conversations as conversations rather than these argumentative debates that are heated and have no residual effect later on, except for residuals money-wise for the person who made the video in the first doggone place and posted it on their Facebook or on their, you know, their YouTube or their TikTok channel. I'm just being real. You see what I'm saying? At some point, people will realize that. But I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. Again, I really wish that Charlie Kirk's funeral, Charlie Kirk's memorial went a different way, but at the same time, it went away. It went a certain way. So again, we'll see what happens here. But I just hope that this does not embolden anybody, make anybody feel any type of way, because it wasn't like they were rallying or anything bad like that. It was just, you know, everything was calmly said for the most part. So we'll see how things transpire from here on out. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on Erica Kirk and see how she continues, right? I'm definitely going to keep an eye on her because I am interested to see what she says. She did speak to the women. She did speak on behalf of the women as well, right? I think that what she said was some powerful stuff, talking about, you know, but she was really speaking. It felt tailored to women. So now I think she's trying to go women because I can't get the men because I'm a woman. And I know that's very jacked up, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. I think that she was literally saying this to the women so that the women go, ooh, I like what she said there. I'm going to listen now. Think about that. You really think college men are going to listen to Erica Kirk? They may listen to her out of respect for Charlie Kirk, but she needs to also expand to a whole other demographic that may not have listened to Charlie Kirk ever before. So that opportunity that she had on that mic was massive. Not only just her forgiving Tyler Robinson, the man who took the life of her husband, but she also talked about a few things where she said, we are not your slaves, basically. We are not women, ladies. We are more than that. We are there to help. We're there to be your partner, right? That spoke volumes in my personal opinion. And I also think that was definitely catered to the female demographic in that room. And now they're all going, ooh, I can't wait to hear what she has to say on the next podcast. That's what I truly think. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this whole transpires, for sure. But again, I wish it wasn't so divisive, but that's okay. We're going to see how that affects the rest of the world as time goes on. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Make sure before you head out, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. Make sure you're following. Follow on all those platforms. Please go follow my Facebook page because there's a lot of updates that I'm putting on the Facebook page that are not videos, okay? So go check that out. Again, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Subscribe here. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips, and my third channel, Pascal Raw. Subscribe over there. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all, okay, on all these platforms. Go and hit that join button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. And, of course, don't forget to check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there, so go check it out. All right, guys? But anyway, guys, it's time to get going, okay? I appreciate all y'all for being here. Now, I know that he has a lot of female students as well, but I'm trying to say that he does have majority male listeners. So again, she's turning that on, I think, to get more of those female listeners going to her channel as well. Just saying. But I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. We'll be talking here very, very soon. Much love to you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.